Okay, what we have here is the 1949 Sheridan Silver Streak. This is the first version of the Model C that Sheridan ever produced. This was produced basically to save the company. They were kind of going under. They weren't making much money on the A's and B's that they were making, which were far superior guns. So their answer was to come up with this gun. Now, the first version of the Model C, which this is, everything is very flat. The butt is flat. The profile is pretty flat. It's kind of hard to see in the video, but it is flat like the stock on a Red Ryder. I mean, it is flat. The pump handle, the whole thing. Pump handle is also held in with screws on these early ones. Rear sight soldered on. It's got the big knurled thumb screws for the sight adjustment there. The side is just stamped Silver Streak on this one. You got the undercut front sight. And of course, it's got the hold down safety, straight bolt. And then let's flip it over and take a look at the other side quick. Here's the other side of the gun. Again, the flat stock. Very distinctive if you come across this particular version of the Model C. It stands right out how flat this thing is. There's the stamp on the side, given the manufacturer. Again, your screws are held in there, in your front sight. I'm going to go ahead and open up the pump handle so you can see what that looks like inside too. Now what you notice with these ones, they have a piece of wood that's been put in there for when I would assume they just milled that straight through and then just plugged it with a chunk of wood at the end to fill in the gap. And the adjustable pump rod is in it. Also the other thing, trigger guard's held in with screws on this too. Now, these particular guns, most people feel there's only made 401 of this model. I myself, I find that hard to believe, simply because there's a lot more of them around. There's just a lot of them around for survival rates. I've had 4 of them myself. This is the 4th one. I know other collectors have had several of these guns. I find it hard to believe December 31st, 1949, they just quit production of the slab stock, and in January 1st, they changed the wood. And it's basically based on years of collecting Sheridans and seeing how many of these things show up. And like I said, their survival rate's pretty decent, yet it's one of the cheesiest Model Cs they made. It's just not that good of a gun. They made much better guns before it. They made much better guns after it, but this gun is just not that great. Forearm's wobbly, it's thin, it cracks. It just has a lot of issues. Now the other thing, this one has the original handbook. You can tell it's a 49 handbook because this one actually has the copyright, 1949. And there's the prices of the items that were for sale at the time. Now the black handbooks, there's at least 4 versions of the black handbook. 2 of them say Silver Streak only. Second handbook will not have that copyright date. And then after that they say Silver Streak and Blue Streak underneath that. And they also have different things that are still available for sale in the back of the book. So there's at least 4 versions of the black handbook. How far that went, I'm not sure, but they are there. So that's another thing to look for when you do come across these handbooks, is there is at least 4 different versions of it. So anyway, that is the 49 slab stock, and a pretty nice one to have for a collection. I mean, again, they're not as rare as some people might want to think they are, but it's still a good one to have in a collection. I mean, it's the first Model C that they made.